The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Ladies and gentlemen, you remember several weeks ago. Um, in fact, it was probably April-ish. We had decided, we had come on and said, look, we are looking into the crash, the hard water landing of Loretta Fuddy. Do you recall that? I'm sure people do. Where there were 9 passengers aboard a small aircraft that left Molokai and crashed in a very interesting location outside of Hawaii, or off the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah, and the listeners joined together, and
right.
we all chipped in $5, $10, $20 here and there to
That's
get
right.
the to get the money to get the FOIA request from the government on the.
Yes, and I've got to say this: what our goal was, and I want to thank each and every one of you for your contributions. What we did was we created a separate account. We put the money dedicated to the FOIAs into that account, and of course we've been dispersing money. In fact, this past week, we just paid the FAA $1,130. That's $1,130 for transcripts and also the actual audio tapes from the Molokai Tower in different sectors for the aircraft, all of the transmissions.
We could have paid hackers a lot less.
Well, no, I mean, Butter G. Zillion is the name of the internet researcher. That's her internet name. And seriously, for her own protection, because this is getting kind of dicey now, we're going to just leave it at that. That's her internet name, and we're not going to, end of story. She needs protection and prayers, but she had spent a long, and is spending just countless days and nights, hours going through all of this information. Well, let me just give you a little taste here of what's going on, because we are all part of this. We all chipped in. We all are asking had asked the federal government for the information. And I'll say this, that initially it took the federal government quite a long time to respond. In fact, the first FOIA request with respect to the FAA went out back in March. And, that's how long ago it was. And the information, although the clock starts ticking when you submit a FOIA request, the information was long in coming. I believe some of that information came in June. I have to double check my records, but we're going to be talking about this next week. Hopefully we can get Butter G. Zillion on and have her explain what she has found. But let me give you a little bit of a taste here of what's going on. For those who are wondering what I'm talking about, the death of Loretta Fuddy is of interest because Loretta Fuddy was the sole person to authenticate the alleged long-form certificate of live birth for Barack Hussein Obama. She was a gatekeeper.
And I know a lot of people, the birth certificate issue gained a ton of momentum and traction until Osama bin Laden was killed for the 300th time.
Yes. It's interesting how the diversions operate, isn't it? Well, folks, you're going to be interested to find out that everything that you think you know about the death of Loretta Fuddy is a lie. Bottom line. There are people who are deliberately attempting to hide the truth. I know you might find that hard to believe. I know. It's the government.
I was very skeptical until I saw what you presented to me.
Well,
which from the FAA's records, from the way they conducted their investigation, from the video of her actually getting a life vest on, getting out of the plane alive with everybody else, with the suspicious-looking scuba people in the water. I mean, I can't wait to see what comes in these. I just think the FOIA requests that we're going to receive are going to be, 3 words followed by long black lines of redacted information.
We've got, yeah, and I haven't shown you everything. To be fair to you, I've not shown you everything. But Butter Zillion has gone through and really gone through these with a fine-tooth comb, and I've got them, and we've corresponded and talked, and a couple of interesting things, again, just to kind of set the stage here. Again, this is important because we do know that the current state of affairs starts and ends with Barack Hussein Obama. Now, that does not mean, of course, that the larger plan was not set in motion before. Of course, we know it was. But why with Barack Hussein Obama? Why is there such a big push for him to why was he the one selected? Why is he in this position? Well, you have to look at what's going on today. Of course, that question is answered very easily by what's going on today. But who is Barack Hussein Obama? And it's much clearer now. Without getting into that, let me just address the Fuddy issue, because it's if I go to the exactly who is Obama, we're going to get off track, because we could talk on this for an entire program. I will say this: on June 6th, this is stamped here, to Butter Zillion, the request Freedom of Information Act for the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. This was a very extensive request, and it was extremely well done. And that's why I believe the FAA was blindsided, and why a request on March 20th had taken until June 6th to even be responded to. Several parts of this request were denied. On the other hand, other parts were, I've got several sections highlighted here. Let me just get right into the meat of it here. First and foremost, on March 20th, Butter Zillion had submitted a FOIA request to the Department of Transportation, FAA Western Service Area, the Air Traffic Organization in Renton, Washington, for information. This was a refiling because her first request was canceled. The request was for all recordings and/or and folks, this is what you helped pay for, and thank you. All recordings and/or transcripts of all air-to-air, air-to-ground, inter- and intra-communications, as well as logs and/or duty journals for related activities in FAA facilities and sectors from, into, and between the Honolulu area, including Barbers Point/Diamond Head, generally aligning with or overlying the geographical area defined as the Maui District by the Aviation Division of the Hawaii Department of Transportation. That's just one request. Second request: recordings, transcripts, photocopies, electronic data files, all logs and/or journals, including handwritten notes regarding the accident occurring during the times and within the areas specified above. Recordings, transcripts, photocopies, and/or electronic data files of all logs and/or journals, including handwritten notes of telephone calls regarding the accident occurring during the times and within the areas specified above, as well as all telephone calls regarding the accident and recovery operations at any time subsequent to the accident. Talk about some heavy-hitting requests here. Request 4, photocopies and/or electronic data files of all email relating to or as a result of occurring at any time during and/or subsequent to the accident as specified above. Number 5, well, you know what, rather than me going through this, because there are 3 pages like this. 3 pages. The response was dated June 6, 2014. This is a Northwest Mountain Region Air Traffic Organization Western Service Area partial denial. Partial no records response to your FOIA request dated March 20th, 2014, made under the provisions of Title V, USC, Section 552. The Federal Aviation Administration writes, you requested a copy of records from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time on the date of the accident, which is December 11th, 2013, regarding tail number N like Nancy 687, M like Mary, A Adam, an aircraft involved in an accident near, so on and so forth. Here's the meat of it. A search for records was conducted at the Honolulu Control Facility and the Maui Airport Traffic Control Tower on April 18th, 2014. Now notice these dates here. The search was conducted on April 18th, 2014. It took it took 45 days, roughly, before they responded back. They're attempting to wind the clock down here, folks. This is what's going on. The search revealed records responsive to items 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 11, 14, and 15B of your request as described below, and included on the enclosed digital versatile disk. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this, but it denotes what was included. So what Buttery Gazillion had done was taken the disks, the actual disks with the audio files on them, and gone through them, listened to them directly. The FAA tapes were found, folks, edited. Surprised? There are actually 3 or 4.
Did you expect something different?
No. But look, isn't this something? We asked for a certificate of live birth. We get a PDF copy of the certificate of live birth. That's just that's an obvious forgery. We ask for and paid for, folks. That's the difference here. We paid for the FAA disk, and what we got was the FAA tapes that appeared to be edited. Buttery Gazillion found 3 or 4. Let's see here. There were 6 tapes with regard to one sector. Now there are multiple sectors, but the key here is these R3. This tape appears to include the emergency frequency for aircraft on which ELTs transmit the 121.5. Anyway, bottom line here, there were sounds that made it extremely difficult to hear clearly during many of the transmissions. And a lot of it sounds pretty much like electronic just electronic noise, static. There was a female voice who identified herself as her aircraft as Hawaiian 2 Heavy. At 3:22 local time, they were picking up the emergency locator transponder signal. Well, now, that's a problem for FAA. That's a problem for a whole lot of reasons because the accident hadn't happened yet. The accident hadn't happened for another 4 minutes. So it seems interesting that the activation of the emergency transponder would go off 4 minutes before the accident. And for those people who know, 4 minutes, it's a long time. The other thing, there was a military operation that was taking place off the coast of Hawaii at the same time, which does substantiate the allegations, or I don't want to say allegations, it does substantiate the possibility that there were military-style men, equipment in the water, personnel in the water. And then we have something else that's pretty interesting. And then I'm going to leave it go. Because we have a lot more, folks. Okay, here we are. Yeah, I mean, folks, you've got no idea. We've got so much documentation here. And we are going to
a way to present what is
this.
relevant in all that garbled information we have. I mean, it's a lot of work to go through these.
Yeah, I had told Buttery Zoe, I don't know how I really don't know how she did it, because I mean, my eyes were cross-eyed. I was ready to gouge my eyeballs out, looking at all of this information. But the biggest lie, the biggest cover-up by government officials responding to the request of the FOIA request would probably be the FAA's claim that records required to be in the accident package, the package that was sent to us, and the package that is supposed to be maintained, they were destroyed less than 28 days after the crash. Gee, they went the way with Lois Lerner's emails. They went the way of Lois Lerner's emails. They were destroyed. The other thing, and I'll end with this, and there's much more. The medical examiner that reportedly did the autopsy on Loretta Fuddy couldn't have done it. Could not have done it. Why? Well, she wasn't there. You see, the pronouncement of death was on the 11th. The autopsy was scheduled for the 13th. There's no airfare charged. There's no mileage. There's no expenses charged for an autopsy at all. None, zero, nothing. She's the only forensic pathologist there. She had to do it. Folks, we're being lied to in a big way. This one, and I don't know if anyone else is looking into this. I really don't. But why is this important? Because Loretta Fuddy is the key person. She is the key gatekeeper of the secrets of Obama. And part of this, there are ties to the Subud organization, S-U-B-U-D, of which Loretta Fuddy was a ranking member. Subud is a religious well, the few people can actually describe what it is. It's kind of a secret club that tends to be an amalgamation of religions. However, it does have ties not only to Hollywood, but to to a lot of the socialist, progressive Marxist. It's an incredible organization of which probably only a handful of people really are heavily involved and know the secret handshake, the secret code, and Loretta Fuddy was one of them. And it's tied to the CIA as well. That's where we're at with this. I mean, I could do an outline, and I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to tip our hand, folks, but I wanted to give you people, every one of you, our listeners, an update as to where we were with this, because, you had so kindly supported us when we asked you to. Hundreds of you came out and said, this is what we're going to, here's my $1, here's my $2, here's my 10, 20, 40, whatever it was. You had so kindly supported us. We have now paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500, I believe it is, maybe $1,400 in total to various government agencies for the work that they've already done. We expect probably to have to double that figure. Thanks to your efforts, we've got it covered. and we expect to be pretty much flush by the time this is all said and done. It's amazing how God works in that way. It really is. It's amazing how God works that way. But we hope to have Butter Dezillion on next week, and all of the documentation will be, right now we're converting it. I'm converting some of it in the PDF format, and we'll be publishing it on our website, HomelandSecurityUS.com. In the meanwhile, I would urge everyone, if you want to get to get an idea of the real intricate details, go to Butter Dezillion, B-U-T-T-E-R-D-E, zillion, like a million, trillion, zillion, but zillion, Butter Dezillion, her website. Just do a search on it, and you'll find her WordPress blog there, and you can read about Loretta Fuddy. But I wanted to give everyone an update on this. It is critical. It is a weak link in the chain, and one more thing before I turn it to Joe. And I mentioned this yesterday, but not to the degree I want to mention it today, and just very incisively. I spoke with a person, and I'm in communications with a person who has known, who's been acquainted with Barack Hussein Obama, Barry Soetoro, prior to his election to the state.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that yesterday, and it reminded me of the mailman.
Right. Well, yeah, he knows the mailman, too. He knows the Tom Ayers. The information gleaned from the interview, and this is an interview in progress, I must say, leads me to suspect the unthinkable.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.